welcome back.
We have returned, and apparently my blood sugar is low, so I'm sitting on my phone so we don't get interrupted by my alarm when my CGM goes off.
It's a good plan, perhaps. Unless you need to know that it's going off. Does it buzz too?
I don't think it buzzes. I don't remember that it buzzes. But I already know that it's low, but I ate a granola bar, so.
All right. Well, how was your day?
It was okay. It was better than I expected, but not great. I had to deal with first graders today.
Monsters.
Not as monstrous as fourth graders, but monsters all the same.
I had to talk to a mom who wanted to know why I have it out for her son.
Do you have it out for her son?
No. I just really want him to sit down and do his work. And so I tell him to sit down and do his work.
And he tells his mom that you
are a big, mean monster. And please check me out, because I can't be in her class because she's a big, mean monster.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a fun morning.
Yeah. It sounds like a fun morning.
It really was. Well, I was going to bring it back to true crime this week.
Mm-hmm. And then what happened? Because you told me that you had a story ready.
Well, that's the reason why. Is because I already had this other story ready, and it wasn't true crime-y. So, next week.
Okay. We're not just a true crime podcast, so it's fine.
I know. We've just been doing more mystery things the last couple of weeks.
We can't do murder all the time.
I don't know. I'm here for the true crime. All right.
Sometimes people need a break from murder.
Well, they've had like 2 weeks. And now 3. And maybe 4, because I can't remember what we did before the girls who disappeared from Panama. So.
Was it the dating game killer?
Or Robert Durst?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. It's been too many. All right, so Farron's beeping again.
I sat up because I heard a funny noise, and so I guess it does kind of do a vibrating thing.
Oh, so remember how I told you that Kayla has the kid in class who has the CGM, and every time his goes off, they're like, oh, Sam is dying again. And so today at lunchtime, there were some really loud girls sitting in the classroom eating, like, I think we were trying to eat, and they were having a party. And I said, tomorrow, we're shutting the doors. And she said, well, Sam is usually in here before I can shut the doors. And I was like, well, we don't even notice that Sam's in here unless he's dying again.
Yes.
So, Sam's okay.
Okay.
All right. So, you've heard of the Bermuda Triangle, I assume?
No, never.
And possibly the Massachusetts Triangle?
Lesser known.
Well,
so I'm not sure if I've heard of that one.
Today, I bring you the story of the Lake Michigan Triangle.
All right.
Which I had never heard of.
Well, we're hearing about it now.
Sure are.
We're going to learn today.
At least somebody is. I don't think any of my students did. All right. Well, before we begin, did you know that Dan Aykroyd has or had a TV show on the History Channel?
Vaguely, yes. And I think that Danny Trejo has one now.
What? Machete has one?
Yeah, I think I saw... You know how Roku has, like, the ads for, like, things you can, like, click on?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that I saw one for Danny Trejo the other day.
And it's like a paranormal show?
It's something on the History Channel. I think it's, like, an unexplained thing.
Okay. Well, Dan Aykroyd's is called The Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Which I was like, so I guess that's kind of like the William Shatner
yes.
one that I can't remember what that one was called. Like Unexplained or something
like that.
So I started watching it. Well, so I was looking up a whole different story. Mm-hmm. And whenever I was searching for like information on it, this show that was Dan Aykroyd's show popped up. And I was like, Dan Aykroyd has a paranormal show? So I started watching the first episode because it was the other thing that I was researching. And the Michigan Triangle was on this episode. Yeah. So that's where I learned about it. But, yeah, so I guess that Dan Aykroyd has, like, a history of paranormal things. Did you know that about him?
No, I didn't.
So I guess I looked into this more because I was just like curious about it. His great grandfather used to host seances and was like into spiritualism. So I didn't write this down, but the story about that is that his grandfather, I can't remember what his first profession was, but then he quit to become a dentist. And then somewhere in his dental career, he started like trying to figure out if hypnosis would like help his patients.
Yeah.
And so then like in his hypnosis journey, like he stumbled into spiritualism and he started hosting seances at his house.
Okay.
And so then like this like love for like the paranormal got like passed down to like his son and then his son and Dan Aykroyd. Farron's dying again. And
trying to Google Danny Trejo's show.
Oh, that's fair. So Dan Aykroyd's father and grandfather tried to invent a device that would capture ghost voices.
Okay.
Yeah. And I guess that Dan Aykroyd even invented or created Ghostbusters because of his fascination with spirituality.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay.
Danny Trejo's show is called Mysteries Unearthed.
Okay.
And it is on the History Channel.
So
yes.
Old dudes with paranormal shows.
Yes. Old dudes who don't really do anything anymore. They get paranormal shows on the History Channel.
Unless it's Rob Lowe, because he still does stuff.
Yes.
He just also has
had for 5 seconds, and I really miss it.
Yeah. I love John Owen, and so I think they need to bring that one back.
I just really love Rob Lowe.
Well, I mean, yes, we all love Rob Lowe, but Rob Lowe's Files.
I think it was the Lowe Files.
Ooh, there it is. I thought it had something to do with that. Brought us John Owen.
Yes.
And I love John Owen. He's hilarious.
Did you ever watch their show that they had together?
No, and I should, because they play father and son. And it looks really funny.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's still a show.
I don't know if it still comes on anymore,
but it was a show. So, I don't know. Maybe someday. All right. Onwards and upwards.
Yes.
All right. The Lake Michigan Triangle.
Yes.
We can get back to that now.
I guess.
All right. So, it extends over Lake Michigan.
Really?
Yes.
Never would have guessed.
I know. The vertices of the triangle are at Ludington, Michigan, Benton Harbor, Michigan, and Manitowoc, Wisconsin.
Okay.
It covers approximately 3,855 square miles. The Bermuda Triangle is estimated between 500,000 and 1.5 million square miles. So the Lake Michigan Triangle is just a little smaller.
A tiny bit smaller.
Yeah. And I think like with the Bermuda Triangle covering so many miles, it just seems like there's more room for error there. Like,
yeah.
Can we really like blame all of the like disappearances and malfunctions just because it is in this like 1.5 square or million square miles worth of ocean?
I don't know.
But anyway.
Things just seem to happen there.
Yeah. Well, also, it was estimated between 500,000 and 1.5 million. Like, that seems like a big jump. Anyway, we're not talking about the Bermuda Triangle.
It's not about them.
She gets all of our attention. So, the idea of the Lake Michigan Triangle was popularized by Jay Gorley in his 1977 book, The Great Lakes Triangle. I did not read this. The area of Lake Michigan has been plagued with disappearances, shipwrecks, plane crashes, UFOs, and USOs.
All right.
Not to be confused with the dancing, singing.
The dancing and singing in the military.
Yes. No, this is unidentified submerged
objects.
Yes.
Trust me, I know my aliens.
Do you?
I do.
Do you? Okay, so...
I at least know what a USO is.
Well, I don't think that I had ever heard of one before I wrote it down.
They talk about it on Ancient Aliens sometimes because there's apparently, and I hate to say this word because it always sounds so funny, but apparently there is, like, been a lot of, like, UFO or USO activity in Lake Titicaca.
Oh, I can't ever hear that without thinking of Beavis and Butthead.
And so they talk about a lot of USOs there.
And I think, wasn't there one recently, like, in real life? Something like...
Like Titicaca's not real life?
It's like Micronesia, okay? They don't exist. Now I lost my train of thought. No, like, whenever, like, the Chinese balloons were going over, and then or maybe the aliens or the UFOs that people were seeing in, like, New Jersey or something, but there also was, like, people said that there was, like, a UFO in the ocean, which I guess would be a USO.
I don't know. I guess I didn't hear about that one.
I don't know. I didn't.
Does that sound familiar?
Like, I remember seeing articles about it, but I never looked into it. Like, I never opened them and read about it. I don't know. So, anyway, the earliest known disappearance occurred in 1679.
Okay. And
was the disappearance of Les Griffons. It's French.
Yes.
Did you really enjoy that?
It was very, very authentic.
So my French accent is I learned it from Kenan Thompson.
Yes. From Pierre Escargot.
That's where I learned all of my French. Yeah. Is he in a bathtub when he's doing that? Okay.
He's wearing like a raincoat
or a rain like hat.
I think he's wearing both.
Both.
He's laying in a bathtub.
Yeah.
With a rubber ducky and a bath scrubber.
Was that show called All That?
Yes.
I was thinking about it earlier and I was like, I never really watched it because I thought it was stupid. But like,
I mean, it was supposed to be stupid. So.
I know, but it was like too stupid for me. But like, I remember that, and I remember.
Because I used to watch it until, like, the later seasons. I didn't really like the later seasons when the cast, like, changed and stuff.
And, like, I remember Bag and Sag and Barry.
Yes.
And then that's where the burgers. Good Burgers. Yeah, that's where that came from, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that what Amanda Bynes was on when she was, like, the really annoying little girl?
I think that's where she got her start, was on some of the newer seasons of All That.
Because didn't she have, like, on the show, like, she had, like, a YouTube show?
Ask Ashley. That's me.
Yeah, that was really annoying.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, back to the French.
Yes. French and triangles.
I perhaps will be calling it the Griffin for the rest of this time so that I don't horrify Amy if she listens to this.
Don't offend any French people or French teachers.
Yes. So, the Griffin was a ship, ? That was used in the fur trading business. Okay. And the reason why I say ship ? Is because when I wrote that, I didn't know what kind of a boat it was.
Yes.
This
probably wasn't like a rowboat or a sailboat, though. So.
It was not, and I will tell you in a minute because I did look it up. So the history of this ship is that it was ordered to be built by a man who was also French.
Yes.
I'm going to completely butcher his name. René Robert Cavalier Sieur de la Salle, which when I put that part into Google Translate, it said Mr. of the Room.
Yeah. I usually Google pronunciations of words or like look them up on YouTube.
Yes, I do too, and then I immediately forget what I heard. So anyway,
there was a story that I was trying to see if I could get enough information for that had a bunch of Welsh names in it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Should have the bear help you with that.
I don't know if he's Welsh enough for that.
He's so Welsh.
But yeah, it had a bunch of Welsh names because it was like some Welsh prince that was involved in this story. And so it was like him and his brother.
Icelandic words that are just keyboard smash.
I mean, that's pretty much how Welsh is too. It's a bunch of consonants.
Yeah. Like hacking and gagging.
But yeah. Well. So French.
All right. So anyway, Mr. of the Room. He commissioned this ship to be built in Niagara Falls, New York in 1679.
Okay.
We just talked about Niagara Falls, didn't we?
Well, we talked about it in my UFO episode because that's where they went on their honeymoon.
That's right.
And we were talking about how you never really hear about people going on vacation to Niagara Falls anymore.
Well, I don't think he was on vacation, but he was there. So it was approximately 45-ton bark. And if you are not into boats and you have no idea what that means,
which I am not and I do not,
it's basically exactly what you picture a ship from pirate times to look like.
Yes.
So it has like all the masts and like 37 sails.
Okay.
Like all of the sails, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's like sail,
yeah,
like that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it was armed with 7 cannons and was the largest sailing vessel on the Great Lakes at this time.
And what year was this? The 1600s, did you say? Okay.
Yes. And so the Griffin's maiden voyage was on August 7th, 1679. LaSalle and Father Louis Hennepin, with a crew of 32 men, sailed across Lake Erie, Lake Huron, and Lake Michigan. And it's just always baffling to me how big these lakes are.
Because where we're from, lakes are not big at all.
No. Like, you can, like, throw a stone across them.
And so we think of lakes as being these little things that are around here, but these are like...
I mean, they basically have, like, ocean weather patterns and things. So it's, I don't know, it's crazy. And that a ship could be sailed, right? From New York across these lakes. I don't know. It's bizarre how big they are. So previously, only canoes had traveled through these waters. And they arrived on an island in northern Lake Michigan where they met local tribes to trade furs. On September 18th, LaSalle sent the ship back to Niagara, and he stayed behind. And the ship never made it to Niagara.
Okay.
So no one knows where the ship went. There were many different accounts. LaSalle himself gave several versions of what he thought happened. One theory is that a storm was brewing, and the local Native Americans advised the ship not to set sail. But the pilot of the ship, which I didn't even know ships had pilots. I always thought it was captains. But apparently, if like LaSalle was the captain, but he didn't go, so the guy who was driving it was the pilot.
Yeah.
Driving it, by the way. So anyways, but the pilot of the ship was like, I'm not afraid of the storm, and set sail anyway. And that the storm took the ship, and it was washed up on a sandbar and buried, or it sunk.
Okay.
Another theory is that the crew stole the merchandise from the ship and either set it on fire or sunk it, or set it on fire to sink it. There were a couple of others, but they were pretty racist, so I'm going to skip those. But either way, the ship and the crew were never seen again.
Okay.
I did just see an article a few hours ago that said a couple from the area, I guess, who have been, like, the husband has been obsessed with this story since he was a kid, so, like, Oak Island, that he and his wife have basically, like, tried to find the ship for, like, ever since this guy was 14, and he thinks that he found it, off of, I didn't write it down, I think it was called, like, the Poverty Islands or something in northern, like, Lake Michigan, and that the French even think that maybe he's onto something, and so they've like got a stake in it, because they're like, anything that comes up is ours.
Again, but, speaking of how large these lakes are, they have islands.
Yeah. No kidding. Okay, so that was the first major disappearance. The next notable disappearance occurred on May 21st, 1891. So we're skipping ahead a couple hundred years. And 2 schooners named the Thomas Hume and the Rouse Simmons dropped off lumber in Chicago and were headed back to Muskegon, Michigan.
Okay.
Schooners. Do you think of Mallrats every time you hear that word?
Every single time.
Every single time. So the schooners, which I think are basically just giant sailboats.
Because what's-his-face calls it a sailboat, and the kid tells him it's a schooner.
Yes. So the schooners encountered a squall on their trip. The Rouse Simmons turned around and went back to Chicago to wait out the storm. The Thomas Hume, however, continued to Michigan. It and the 6-man crew never arrived. Hackley Hume Lumber Mill, who had sent the boats out, offered a $300 reward and sent another boat out looking for the Thomas Hume, to no avail. The 2 theories at the time were that the ship succumbed to the storm, or that it collided with another boat and sunk. In 2006, the sunken ship was found by an A&T recovery employee who was looking for a lost U.S. Navy aircraft. The boat, I think is what that's supposed to say, was almost completely intact. And so the Michigan Shipwreck Research Association said that the theory of a collision most likely didn't happen because there was no evidence on the boat to prove that.
Okay.
But either way, the crew was never seen again. Next is the Rosabelle, which was also a schooner that was used for transporting materials. In 1875... Well, this is before the other one. Anyway. So, in 1875, the boat was discovered upside down, and the 10-man crew was never found.
Okay.
She was flipped back over and sent back to Milwaukee, where she was continued to be used. In October 1921, the boat was about to set sail, but the ship's captain refused to board the boat, stating that he had a feeling something bad was going to happen. The crew left without him. Days later, the ship was found upside down again, and the crew was gone. And I'm thinking that perhaps, if she keeps flipping over, maybe they shouldn't have kept using her.
Right. But also, I mean, I guess one of the big differences between this and the Bermuda Triangle is that they're finding these ships.
That's true.
But, I mean, as far as the crews go, I mean, lake monsters.
Yeah. And I didn't read anything about a monster in Lake Michigan, but
I don't even mean like Nessie type monsters, but you've seen river monsters before. Like, surely there's
something
big,
creepy
giant,
out there,
creepy things in lakes as well.
Yeah. And okay, so there was a theory that the schooner had collided with another boat because the stern was missing, but no other boat in the area reported an accident. The U.S. Coast Guard pulled the boat to shore and determined there was no collision. The crews of both mishaps were never found. The next one is pretty weird.
Okay.
So this is the disappearance of George R. Donner. Donner was the captain of a coal freighter named the O.M. McFarland. And I still, freighter, I think of, those gigantic things you see, in Galveston.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it's in a lake. So this boat was traveling through the Great Lakes heading for Port Washington in Wisconsin. There had been some issue with getting the ship through some ice floes, and so everybody was exhausted. And when the boat finally reached Lake Michigan, Donner told his crew he was going to rest in his cabin and to come get him when the ship was nearing Port Washington. 3 hours later, the second mate went to get Donner, and his door was locked from the inside. The crew assumed he had left to get a snack, but after searching the entire ship, they couldn't find him. They broke down the door of his room, and he wasn't in there either. He was too large to have gone out of the portholes in his room, and he wasn't known to be depressed or suicidal, so they didn't think that he went overboard himself. Ships searched for him in the water anyway, but he was never found.
All right.
So he just got beamed off of...
I was going to say, he was abducted by aliens.
Yes. This one is a total bummer. So, June 23rd, 1950, Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 2501 left LaGuardia Airport in New York City and was heading for Minneapolis. There were 55 passengers and 3 crew members on board. The crew knew that they were going to be flying through some weather, but they weren't concerned. When the pilot was flying into the weather near Cleveland, he requested that he descend to an altitude of 4,000 feet. His assigned altitude was... I wrote this backwards, I think, because it says his assigned altitude was 2,000 feet, and he was trying to descend. But he was trying to avoid turbulence. The request was granted. However, in the same area, now over Lake Michigan, another plane had hit severe turbulence and fell 500 feet. Air traffic control instructed the pilot of Flight 2501 to descend another 500 feet to avoid colliding with the other plane. The pilot and co-pilot decided to try and go around the storm and ended up flying right into another storm. The plane made its last transmission at 11:13 p.m. when it was asking to descend again. This time they were not given permission because of another plane in the area. Air traffic control realized the plane went missing around midnight. Around the same time, people in the area between Benton Harbor and South Haven could hear a plane flying low and then saw a flash of light over the lake. The Coast Guard went out the next day and found an oil slick and some debris about 18 miles northwest of Benton Harbor. In the next few days, a seat armrest, pieces of upholstery, the pants of an 8-year-old passenger, and body parts were found. However, the plane itself was never found, not even in parts other than those things that I just said. So the largest debris found was no bigger than the size of a person's hand. The main theories about this is that the plane crashed into the lake at high velocity due to the lack of visual clarity and the bad weather conditions, or that it was hit by lightning and exploded. I don't think that can happen on planes now, because I think they have, like, special things. The only thing debunking the second theory about the lightning is that none of the debris that was found was burned. Mm-hmm. A third theory is more conspiracy. Some people believe that a UFO took the plane. 2 police officers reported seeing red lights hovering over the lake for 2 hours after the plane disappeared. And, I mean, other than that, they never found any other parts of the plane or the people that were on board.
I mean, they found some parts.
Well, but they didn't find, like, the people.
55 passengers.
Yeah. So then, let's see, that was in 1950. We're going to fast forward a little bit to 1998. On July 3rd, 1998, a single-engine jet piloted by Donald Scholar with passenger Donovan Rodriguez departed from Cherry Capital Airport and went out over Lake Michigan. Scholar was a veteran pilot preparing for his first air show. Rodriguez had been a flight instructor since the 1970s, so they were both experienced flyers. Mm-hmm. Around 6 p.m., Scholar radioed to air traffic control and told them that he was on his way back and was about 27 miles from the airport. Shortly after, air traffic control noticed that the jet had disappeared from the radar. A search was conducted for 6 days and never found the plane or the 2 men. No one knows what would have made the plane crash because it was a clear day and both men were experienced pilots and had parachutes and ejection seats. Sonar equipment has been used to attempt to find the plane. Sonar detected something that could be a plane in 2008 at a depth of approximately 450 feet, but a search was never conducted because at the time the diver wasn't certified to dive deeper than 400 feet. I don't know why they couldn't find someone.
I was going to say, they could have found a different diver?
And I don't know. I didn't see anything like in the last, like, almost 20 years where they ever sent anybody else down, but so that was another plane that disappeared. And then this one, I think, is the last, like, disappearance thing. Mm-hmm. And it's weird. So I first saw this one on Dan Aykroyd's show and then read an article on the Great Lakes Museum website. On February 20th, 1978, a 23-year-old student from Hope College on the southeastern side of Lake Michigan named Stephen Kubacki left for a cross-country skiing excursion that was supposed to last a few days, which sounds absolutely horrid.
Miserable.
Cold and makes my legs hurt just thinking about it. A couple of hours into his trip, so he didn't even make it a whole day. Yeah. A couple of hours into the trip, some people on snowmobiles came across his gear and footprints. His footprints were left in the snow along the waterfront, but the prints abruptly ended on the beach. At the time, people assumed that he had fallen through the ice, but there was no broken ice found. Mm-hmm. And this was February in Lake Michigan, so everything's frozen solid.
Everything's frozen.
So a search and rescue operation was sent out and didn't find Stephen. His family held a memorial service and he was declared an accidental drowning. But here's where the show and the article differ in the facts of what came next. But either way, bizarrely, a year later, Stephen reappears. Mm-hmm. The museum article says that he appeared at his father's house with absolutely no memory of where he had been or what had happened to him over the last year.
Yeah.
The show says that 15 months after he disappeared, Stephen woke up in a field in Massachusetts, 700 miles away from where he disappeared. The field was near his aunt's house. He was wearing clothes that didn't belong to him, and he had no recollection of where he had been or how he had gotten there.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I guess, right after this happened, he had talked to, various news agencies and stuff, mm-hmm. but then he kind of, went radio silent after that, and he never gave any more interviews about it. But, yeah, that, like, just disappeared for a whole year and
then just showed back up.
Yeah. In a completely different place.
Yeah.
And, like, the article said at his dad's house, but I don't know where his dad lived, so I don't know if it was also in Massachusetts. But either way, like, it's maybe aliens that time.
Yes.
Okay. Well, in addition to the weird disappearances, there was apparently a weird monolithic structure like Stonehenge that's been found below the surface of Lake Michigan.
Okay.
It was just...
They find a lot of those these days, though. There's like one in Spain or something that the waters have been receding, and then they just found one.
Weird. And I don't know if that's kind of what happened here, but it said it was discovered in 2007 and is estimated to be about 9,000 years old. Mm-hmm. Over the last several decades, many reports of UFOs have been reported seen over Lake Michigan. And as for the USOs, I couldn't find anything specific, just unidentified submerged objects have been reported. With the UFOs, there were specific sightings, like the red lights in the sky after the plane disappeared, but I didn't delve too much into each one specifically. But yeah, so those are the weird things that happen or have happened in the Lake Michigan Triangle.
Well, those are some weird things, and I'm trying really hard not to clear my throat 5,000 times, but...
Go for it.
There we go. I needed one real good one.
Yes. So, yeah, the, apparently triangles cause weird vortex things. I don't know.
Triangles just, in general, seem to have weird stuff happening on them, because, like, there's that one triangle, like, in New England or whatever that has, like, all the cryptids in it.
That's the one in Massachusetts. That has the
okay.
That has the little guys that say like
Puckwudgies?
Yeah, the "We want you" guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember what they were called.
Pretty sure we're talking about Puckwudgies.
I am talking about those. And every time I think about the Puckwudgies, I think about the guy in All Real Monsters that holds his eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like that's what I picture Puckwudgies looking like.
Yeah.
I've never actually Did we Google it one time to see what they looked like?
I don't know.
Are they the things that looked like badgers? Am I thinking of something completely different? Am I mixing memories?
I don't know. I don't remember things that look like badgers.
No,
I'll Google it right now.
Yeah. I don't know where my phone is.
Behind you.
No.
Baby Bear is texting me. I don't know what about.
I know. He texted me too.
Let's see. Puckwudgies.
Oh. Maybe I was thinking badger because of these little, like, pokey things on his back.
Do badgers have pokey things?
I don't know. Probably not.
It'd be more like a porcupine.
Yeah.
Because I think that badgers are just kind of...
Yeah, they are. I'm just stupid.
Because badgers are just kind of...
Oh, the badgers are winning.
They're just kind of...
Or losing. I don't know. I didn't see.
They're doing sports.
I don't know what kind of sports, but they're sporting.
It looked like basketball.
Oh, dumb. Yeah. Well, anyway, I still think no matter what that picture says, that it looks like the guy who holds his eyeballs. Yes. What is his name?
Crumb?
Oh, yeah. I only ever remember Oblina's name.
The other little guy with the big red ears is Ickis.
Mm-hmm.
And then Crumb, I think, is the one that holds his eyes. And then Oblina is the stripy one with the big red lips.
Yes. Oblina's the only one I ever remember the name of. Good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Good show.
Yeah. So anyway, triangles are weird.
Triangles are weird.
Maybe that's why the pyramids were built, because they're also weird. Because the
triangles are weird.
My geometry students would agree.
Agree that triangles are weird.
They especially love the lessons that we learn where we have to prove that a triangle is a triangle. Mm-hmm. And their answer is always like, it's a triangle.
Because
Look at it. Look at it. It's a triangle.
See how it is?
See how it has 3 points and 3 sides?
See?
It's a triangle.
It just is a triangle.
Yep. It's fun stuff. Trying to...
There's an episode of Doctor Who where they're talking about the students because Claire is a teacher.
Yes.
And her boyfriend's a teacher.
Clara, you mean?
Yes. But anyway, so her boyfriend is the math teacher.
No, I remembered he was a teacher. I didn't remember.
But they were talking about, like... They called this group of kids, like, gifted and talented, but they're actually pretty dumb.
Okay.
But they call them that for their self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were talking about this one girl, how she's, like, doesn't have, like, a thought in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And Clara's boyfriend was saying to find X. And she was like, it's right there. We don't have to find it. It's right there.
I found it. It's on the board. Mm-hmm.
And he was like, no, we need to find X. And she was like, but it's right there.
It's not lost. I promise you I can see it. Can you not see it? Maybe there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. So that made me think of that.
Mm-hmm. Boiler alert. Did he die?
Yes.
I thought so.
He got hit by a car.
I was thinking that he had come back or something.
He does, as a Cyberman.
Oh, fun.
But he isn't, like, a bad Cyberman. He still, like, helps them. He's only in, like, one episode after he dies.
I thought all the Cybermans were bad. Because they can't think for themselves anymore, right?
Well, Danny was... I don't know. They kind of, like, changed the way that Cybermen, like, were. Because originally, they kind of were just, like... I don't know. They weren't, like, in the suits. And now they're, like their whole selves are in the suits. And
see, this is why I had such a hard time keeping up with it after Matt Smith. Because it was just, like, everything got weird.
But anyway, so, like, they were turning all the dead people, like, all the dead people, even, like, long dead people, into Cybermen. And so they turned Danny into a Cyberman, but for whatever reason, he could still, like, think for himself for the most part. And so he wouldn't do bad things to the Doctor and Clara. And so he ended up saving them because he was a soldier before he was a math teacher. Right. And so he, like, made all of the other Cybermen be, like, his soldiers. And so they ended up stopping the bad thing that was going to happen.
Okay.
But...
yeah. I don't think I've watched anything.
I keep starting the season with Bill, which is the black girl who's after Clara.
Oh, okay. And I haven't seen any of her episodes.
But I never make it past, like, the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes. And so then I'll restart it. And then I'll make it to, like, the first 3 or 4 episodes. And then I won't watch it for a long time. So then I'll restart it.
Yeah.
And I never
You're in a time loop.
I know.
I don't know. I think, what was the last thing I saw? Like, Clara had died, but not died or something. I don't know. Because I don't think it was the end of her tenure on the show. But...
it was just about, because there's only, like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 more episodes after she dies. But anyway.
But yeah. So there's our...
there's a recap of...
some Doctor Who.
Some of Doctor Who for you guys.
Has the new season started?
Yes.
So I know there was the Christmas episode, but, like,
I don't know if the new season has officially started. Because he got... so, he became the Doctor and he had a companion. And then they almost immediately got rid of that companion. So now he has a new companion. And so I assume the episodes have started. But I'm not there yet, and so I haven't watched any of the new ones. Because I haven't watched any of Jodie Whittaker's.
Like, I didn't dislike him on the David Tennant special. But I don't like any doctors besides David Tennant and Matt Smith.
Right.
And so it's hard for me to watch the other episodes or
Peter
seasons.
Capaldi grew on me, but...
like them as the Doctor.
Like, I didn't really care for Peter Capaldi's seasons at first, but he kind of grew on me after I watched his season with Clara multiple times.
But I think it's kind of like, I also am having this aversion to seeing the new Captain America. Because... I don't have anything against the Falcon or whatever the crap he was before he was Captain America. But he's not Captain America.
You don't do well with change.
I don't. Let's just keep them all the same.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know Robert Downey Jr. is going to be in the new Avenger movie, but he's not going to be Iron Man.
I know, which is just weird. They shouldn't even put him in there if he's not going to be the same character.
And so...
I know that Iron Man's dead, so he can't be the same character, but...
But, I don't know, it's weird. And I don't know how I feel about these new Avengers.
I know, I was thinking the other day, because I had seen a preview for the new Captain America, and I was just thinking about how, like, I don't get excited about Avengers movies anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it used to be, oh, sweet, a new Avengers movie is coming out, but it's like, after that last one, like...
And
the Avengers was kind of just over for me.
like, so excited for Spider-Man 4, but I'm also sad, because I know that it's going to be his last movie as Spider-Man.
Well, he is a grown man.
But Spider-Man, it's okay if he is a man. Peter Parker has to grow up sometime.
Not Spider-Boy. But...
He can be Spider-Man.
Okay.
Well, we went really long on our tangent. So, anyway, remember you can find us on social media at Twisted and Mysterious or email at twistedandmysteriousPodcast@gmail.com.
Yep. And I think that's all we have for you for this week. I hope you enjoyed our tangent and the episode. And remember that people are gross and don't get murdered.
And remember that Matt Smith is the best doctor.
David Tennant, but, you know, he's been the doctor like 3 times.
Whatever. Bye.